Now, before we begin, can we just do a really quick introduction? Because Lucas, I have a post that is like 75% written up introducing Lucas, but I have not yet published it, so nobody actually has any idea what a stone cold badass he is, and I want to make sure that we inform them. Craig, I have published a post on, but we still haven't gotten to Lucas yet. So if we could do quick intros of everybody that's not me, I will shut up now.
Okay. Would you want me to just start out?
Go for it, man. You
Yeah.
take it
Okay.
away. I'll be
Hi.
quiet.
All right. Hi. I'm Lucas Feld. I'm a game artist. I've been doing it for 18 years now. And actually, my first game job, I was working for Mike on Temple of Elemental Evil, and you know, just been plugging away at it for you know however long it's been. So, hi everybody.
Craig, go.
Uh, Sort of the same story. I've worked with Mike on Temple of Elemental Evil, and from there I moved on to some other companies that you might recognize, like Electronic Arts and uh, LucasArts. And then I came back down to Irvine and worked with Obsidian for a little while. And now I'm with Gala Games and Sandbox.
Yeah, guys, we spent years together in the trenches at Troika, working many, many late nights. And yeah, so the people viewing this, I can only tell you that Craig and Lucas and I have partied as hard as we have worked. Let the histories record. Um, I I'm hoping that this 30 minutes or so, we can throw out a little bit of how we feel about art and how art can um, want to. I don't want this to be about, oh, you make assets and you put textures on them and stuff like that. I don't, that's not what we talk about. Um, that's a little more about what the technology is at the time, and what particular platform you might be on. And I think it's a lot of stuff that people would kind of have some knowledge of, or could find really quickly. What I think is most interesting, and I think we could talk about this for a second and then just answer questions from people, is the impact that art has on a production. The decisions you make on the art side can make projects what they are, or they can destroy them. And when me and Lucas and Craig all get together and have a beer and start shooting the shit, that is really, I think, what we talk about more than anything else, guys. It's that watching particular productions and the choices they make, and what ends up happening to that project because of those particular choices. And you'd think it would be so straightforward, but it's amazing what kind of windy turns are out there, and things that have happened in it that you guys have experienced. Craig, do you have any? What happened at LucasArts?
What happened at LucasArts? Oh,
What were you
well,
what were you working on there?
oh, that was the Force Unleashed,
Yeah, I
the
like
big
that
Star
game.
Wars game. And on that project, one of the challenges was it was a console gen kind of transition period from PS2 to PS3. So, like you were saying before, there were technological obstacles, and kind of like people not knowing what the target was for that console, and trying to figure out what that would look like. But as far as like the vision, Star Wars is kind of a contained area for like what do you consider uh, concepting for. So I was working with a lot of canon characters on that project. There wasn't a lot of new characters, but there were some. Um, uh, and sometimes we would take characters that existed and alter them just a little bit. I think.
How long does it take generally, do you think, to make, Lucas, to you too, like, some stuff people might not know is how long does it take to make a boss monster, in a major AAA title?
Well, I can separate out because I worked on some on Dead Space, and that's like 3 to 6 months with like a lot of people involved from animation, game design, concept, special effects, engineering, the whole works.
And that's assuming that you get it on the first try, and it's not the fifth try that.
No, there's constant revisions going on
Yeah.
to hone it and make it play better and look just right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes that can be frustrating, but also, when it needs to be done, that's really important to be able to, change something that's not working. I think that's always, it's a
And
tough
that
choice.
happens too. We had a boss monster that was in production for 2 months, and there was like a analysis of how it was working out, and it just got cut, and we moved on to other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's just the amount that things cost is always at the top of our minds, and it's not a soulless thing to be thinking about. It's that to make these games and bring them to people means hiring great people, getting them good equipment, and giving them a lot of time to really kind of go for it and try to pull something together. And the more ambitious something is, the longer it takes, the more fraught with peril it can be. Um, so I think when you guys are looking at Mirandus and you're seeing that simplified style, just know that it's not a mistake. We like that style, and that style works really well for what it is what we're trying to do. Um, and a lot of that is so that we can deliver a ton of content to you guys and be able to do it quickly. What happens is it's difficult when you're making a game to know exactly everything that you're going to have to deliver when the game first starts. That's the importance of the concept phase and pre-production, especially, really to dig into how many people we're going to need and what it's going to take. Um, but let's say we decided, you know what, Mirandus, man, it needs to be photorealistic. Everything should just be photorealistic. We if the light is behind a character, and we're going to need to see some pink flesh through the back of their elven ears. We're going to need to, we would have 200 people working on this. I don't know when you guys would see anything, and we would have to guarantee that everyone who plays Mirandus sees every single bit of it, because it's going to cost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to make. And after doing it for years and years and years, I think we'd be putting ourselves in the kind of place where, oh shit, we're dramatically behind. This has gotten even more complex than we thought, and we're going to have to really outsource the crap out of this. We're going to have to spin up a team overseas. Have you guys ever seen large productions have to spin up massive outsourcing endeavors towards the end of the project?
Um, Definitely. I think that falls under something called Brooks Law, where um, there was a guy who wrote a book on like software production, and the more people you add at the end of a project, the longer it takes, because you're trying to ramp up all those people that you're bringing on, and it just turns into like a communication fiasco. It gets more expensive. But
Yeah.
yes, I have been on the largest project I have been on was Battlefield, and that's like 5 studios. It's kind of like similar to Call of Duty, and just massive.
They probably have a formula though, right? I mean, they
Right.
probably have a pretty good formula, and those gears are greased.
Totally different
I'd have to
situation.
assume.
You
Yeah.
you have you're working on something that has been iterated on for a decade at least, maybe more.
So, the thing that we're targeting, guys, and the thing that's important to us is, we want the mood to feel right. We want the game, we want you to be able to get in there, the sound, the lighting, it'll feel good when you're inside it. Another thing that I think Lucas and Craig and I would definitely agree with is that graphics don't make the game. And look back historically on some of the largest franchises in gaming history. Um, you know, there are people that are inside large companies that are selling their idea. They think if they don't walk in with a hot sizzle pitch to the executive team and say that, oh, this is going to be photorealistic, you're going to be, if it's not a hot sizzle pitch, it won't get funded. And they kind of paint themselves in a corner. They're not thinking about what people are playing or enjoying. um, they're trying to push something through and say that we're going to beat this studio, we're going to be even better than them and better than them and better. In a sizzle pitch to an executive team sometimes means, or lots of times means, you're just going to look better than they are. And that's not the right place for a game to begin. The game needs to begin with how fun it is to play, and the art should support that. Minecraft is pretty popular. Where would we all say that falls on the photorealism chart or the unbelievably awesome graphics chart? Um, I actually love the look of Minecraft. I think it's blocky. It completely works. You get the world the second you look at it. It's physical. I can tell what I can touch and what I can't. You can build anything in it. I think it's incredible. Um, you know, and how many games have we seen uh, that just don't have that incredible high detailed look? But it's still awesome to see and play. I would prefer to look at Mirandus than a lot of these other photorealistic games. The Uncanny Valley situation.
Yeah, there's a level of immersion that can be achieved through really uh, a really honed gameplay that sucks the player in.
Yeah, there's also a sameness that can come from everybody like pursuing the same, like, I don't know, this just thinking of like, uh, there was a time when all the games were basically brown because that was what realistic was. I mean, they were just, they were color corrected to be brown. The art was very brown. They were going for realism. It they all look the same.
I found I think Bethesda did a great job with taking over the Fallout franchise, but I found that was kind of brown to me.
Mhm.
Arcanum was brown too. It was a little brown. I don't like it when everything's brown. It's
Yeah.
everything feels like it's rusted and dirty, but not everything is rusted and dirty. Even a post-apocalyptic world, it's like I think there should be more color.
Mhm. Yeah.
What do you guys think are some of the best looking games that you've played? And not meaning like the highest budget necessarily, but the art synced and locked with what it was that the project itself was trying to do, and that to me is usually great art. Um, I mean, like, I'll just say Journey. I mean, shit, that was so cool. It was just beautiful. Everywhere you walked was beautiful. Again, how many polys did they have? And oh my God, was there a bajillion normal maps everywhere? And was there, like, no, it was just set into really beautiful color with these simple shapes. Like, that was awesome.
Mhm.
I think one of my personal favorites is Shadow of the Colossus and
Mm,
Ico series, The Last Guardian.
Yeah. Those were beautiful, and they had so much atmosphere too.
mm.
Also creative. You can tell that they use a very limited tile set and um, assets to create that thing, but
What
a
about
lot of
you,
focus.
Lucas?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what is the most. I'm thinking about just launching my Steam library real quick to see what
Check
decent
the
thing.
library.
But
Oh, Homeworld. Homeworld. I love Relic. I think Homeworld was another one I would throw out there. Just the sound and the vibe and everything. I just, you know, Adagio with strings and space ships. That's pretty awesome. You still checking your library, Lucas?
I am. Let's see. I thought Monaco was really fun. It was a little retro, but it was. I thought it. The gameplay worked with the graphics pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of an indie game I played not recently, but within the last couple of years was a Plague's Tale. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
That was kind of like a medieval game uh, by a smaller studio. Really, really beautiful art direction in that game.
You know what the earliest game was I think that I played that I was like, man, this art just, has a mood or feels cool was like Draken. Remember Draken back in the old days? They actually had a day and night cycle or something, and like my
But
God, that was incredible. Gradients on the screen. Um, are there any questions for people? I do want a good bit of Q&A here too, and just I can see the Periscope stream here, guys. If there are any questions that anyone has, someone Super Rando wrote a long list, like yeah, of awesome games out there that have just the graphics really were awesome, and yeah, someone said Team Fortress 2. That had such a cool style. I remember when we first started seeing that, we were all looking at their models and the shapes of their bodies and everything. It was like, damn, it's so cool.
what was that game that came out after that? I
Oh,
think it was called Brink. Do you remember Brink?
someone just said Ultima Underworld. Oh my God, man. Yes, brother. That was the first game. That was the first 3D game I think I ever played. I mean, I think in Ultima Underworld we were so used to. I loved old Bard's Tale and you know a lot of those games. So you're moving incrementally forward and back. I think Ultima Underworld was the first game that I ever played where you pressed forward on the keyboard and it smoothly transitioned you down a hallway. Couldn't believe it. I jumped out of my chair. It's too immersive. Yeah. Are there any specific questions anyone has about game art or? Someone brought up Diablo in the stream too. I think Diablo is absolutely, you know, it's everything Blizzard does to me. I will buy everything Blizzard ever does, um, because of how incredibly polished those particular experiences were. I don't recall Diablo or anything that they release at Blizzard having a style to it that blew my mind, but I just love how every square inch of of what it is they do is slick and polished. And there are so many places that don't take that time or prioritize that. And to me, the power of Blizzard is that they have great people and that they prioritize something getting released when it's awesome, period. And I was at Interplay back in the day, and we had people that went over there, and Blizzard wasn't near the size it was, and they would talk about what the development was internally at Blizzard, and the amount of time that they had to do things, or the commitment that Blizzard had to removing large parts of the game if they just weren't working. Um, and I think it's one of the things that we think as we're building this company is brand affinity. There's brand recognition and brand, affinity. Brand recognition, it's like, oh yeah, I've heard that name, right? Yeah, I know those guys. Brand affinity is like people just love what it is they do. people trust that it's trust. I really think it's, that when you hear, a game coming out of Blizzard, you're like, well, you can trust that it's going to play well. It's going to be very polished. It's going to, it's going to be good. And I really want and hope that we're building that trust with you guys, and that it's only going to get better and better and better over time. But if something comes out of Gala Games, I want you guys to be able to say, yeah, shit, you can trust that. Oh, a new game's coming out. Yeah, it's gonna be great. That's really important to me. Um, and I know I'm end up talking to you guys a lot more than anybody else. I'm kind of the mouthpiece of the game studio side, but everything that I am saying, I can promise you that Lucas and Craig feel the same way, and we have lots of discussions about this kind of stuff.
When you talk about like brands, it's hard to Nintendo, especially you know, Breath of the Wild was just an amazing game in terms of creating a world, and you could just go in there and live it. You don't even have to play the game. You can just explore the world.
Except for weapon damage, and unforgivable in Breath of the Wild. I mean, break my weapon, but man, let me use it a few times first.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a subtler art in Breath of the Wild to what you're using in relationship to who you're attacking that I think I just never super understood or got into. Like, I'm probably using a wooden spear against a shield and it's breaking too much and I'm crying about it. But Breath of the Wild, I wanted that Master Sword so bad because I heard it didn't break.
It doesn't break, but
but it runs out of juice.
Yeah, you gotta recharge it.
Come on, man. It was so hard to get. It was so hard to get. I was like, don't let it run out of juice. Let it shoot unbelievable laser beams everywhere forever, Yeah. Yeah, Breath of the Wild was amazing. I think Nintendo definitely has that feel and that trust,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, and this happens with art too, art and features, especially features, you'll be working on a game, guys, and then some other game will come out. Be like, oh shit, we got to change everything. Look how popular this other game is. That's what we got to go do. It's I think one of the key components to making something great is to have, a consistent vision for what it is that a consistent vision,
And you stick
and
to
have
it.
somebody hold it. Just do it. Make that game great. If you're trying to make someone else's game, it won't be great. Someone just said, do you play EverQuest? I don't play EverQuest anymore, but damn, I played the crap out of that when that was out. I mean, I would say MMO wise, I had more fun playing EverQuest than any other MMO. And the reason is it was more like I was in a world. The fact that nighttime set and it became dark. Like, who has dark anymore? Well, if it's dark, people can't see very well and they can't grind. But you got to be able to see to grind, I think that's a really interesting art topic just in general, how do you guys feel about environments in games?
Are you talking about the functionality or
I don't know. Like, again, it's like, how does it work with gameplay? I don't think I can separate the two because they need to serve each other and kind of bolster each other.
When it's done right, I think they do. I think there are times when a game might have elements that feel out of place or there's not great gameplay. They look good, but the gameplay isn't there. I don't know. I think Half-Life did a great, or especially Half-Life 2 did a great job of creating environments that I think they put the gameplay first. But there were situations where you'd have places where you just like the tension would build up because of where you were. I think like was it Ravenscroft was or what was like there was a level in I mean there were a bunch of levels in Half-Life 2 that there were like places where like you're in a prison and there was just a ton of anxiety in the environment, really contained, and just these waves coming at you. You had to like kind of manipulate the environment, which is a little bit new at that point. Um, I don't know. Those are that's a game where I think about like the level design and the art just work together so well. Be nice if Valve started making games again.
I've heard it's very interesting to work there.
Yeah.
Some from friends who have worked there.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's asking if we'd ever make an FPS for Gala. Like, yeah, for sure, man. I mean, we're not. Gala is not. There's an internal game studio here at Gala, but there's lots of people we're talking to, and there's going to be a lot of third-party development. You know, I don't think I would make a good FPS. Like you really just kind of need to know your skill set and where your passion lies. But as we scale up and get more designers, I could see us doing one internally. But if there was a great third-party company out there that wanted to do an FPS, we want Gala to have lots of different games on it from lots of different studios, and I think you'll be seeing that over the course of this year. But we at Gala absolutely do not draw some strange line about we will only have games of this particular type. So I think you'll be seeing stuff like that.